about Symbology for ArcPro. So here I have a simple base map, black and gray one, and I've got a single, in this case, a shapefile in the table of contents here, and I've got it symbolized by its classification here. One quick trick: if you want to open the attribute table for any layer, if you highlight the layer, hit Control T, it'll open the attribute table here. That's a nice little shortcut, and there's lots of other such similar shortcuts you can take. So here I have a simple shape. It's got 46 records here, but I want to symbolize, as I've shown here, on this class field here. So to do that, I simply highlight the layer in the table of contents, and you'll see on the ribbon at the top here is where all the functions exist. If you go up to the Appearance ribbon and the Symbology tab, what that'll do is it'll allow you to symbolize those features based on classifications, or in this case, unique values. So if I bring in here's an additional layer, I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to turn it on so it's showing at all scale levels. It doesn't have any scale dependencies. You can see this too has been symbolized in such a way that it's using distinctions from within the attribution to show fairy routes versus winter roads with these hatched lines versus trails. This actually is if I go to the source here, this is actually coming right off of our web mapping services. This is number layer ID 19, which is the road center lines. But you can see that's already applied on the feature service there, whereas this is a standalone shapefile here. So I'm actually just going to make a copy and I'll paste that in, and I'm going to remove the symbology settings that it's got by literally going single symbol, and this is like default for whenever you bring in any particular layer. So I'm going to turn everything off. Again, if you want to turn on a particular layer, here's another shortcut. Click on the layer holding down Alt, and it'll turn on or off just that layer which you've got highlighted here. So in this case, I can right click on this color, I can make changes to the symbology on here, or if I single click it on the right hand panel here, you'll see labels or symbology rules show up. And these are all the defaults that you get in Pro. You can go through and do properties. Here I can bump up the line width. I can go 2 point. I can give it sort of fractional thicknesses. I can change the color here. If I drill down even further, I can give it like a gradient stroke, which will give you a thickness and a color ramp. So let's say I want to go from blue to red. I can do that, and as soon as I hit apply, you can see those changes take effect on the features. I have a side panel here docked, but I can have it persistent, so it's going to stay always shown. That's sometimes useful. But anyway, single stroke. These are symbol layer effects that you can add. I haven't played around with these too much, but you can do some powerful stuff with those. Anyway, give this a whirl. This is really simple functionality. Make sure you hit apply to all of those changes that you make here in the property. But let's just go back to the original task, which was the symbolization based on attribution. So again, I'm back at the top level here. I've shown you how to change symbology based on a single symbol, but let's say we want to use unique values. And you can see, as I click on this list, there's a lot of options. These correspond closely to what you have in ArcMap as well. But let's say I want to use that classification symbology. By default, it gives you the 3 options available for within that class. And if I look in the table here and sort by class, here's another shortcut. A double click on the header of any column will allow you to sort it based on that column. And you can see I only have 3 values: arterial, collector, and local, and no other ones. So you can see here, these are all other values, but I can get rid of that by just right clicking on it and hitting delete. So now I have these 3. These are default, but again, I can right click, change the color of that one, change the color of this one, and you can see how pretty immediately on screen I can get some sort of response based on these here. You can reorder the order that they're shown here You can do all sorts of different ones. If there's additional values I haven't listed, you can add those here. You can do a show count. So this goes through, does a count on all, in this case, 46 attributes, and decides how many are local, how many are collector, and how many are arterial, and gives you a count here. As you're changing data, you can always choose to refresh it. If you're making constant changes to those types of things. So keep that in mind as an option as well. So that's a quick and dirty of symbology, how to take features and symbolize them based on attribution. What was the other thing we covered there? And that was true of shapefiles in this case. This is coming from my desktop, just a shapefile. This is coming from a feature service on ArcGIS or from our web mapping library. There you go. I'll cut it there, but that's Symbology in Pro.